Welcome to the Faith Film Fan Podcast. We have John Schaefer and Tom Bancroft with us today for Light of the World, releasing September 5th. It's coming up soon. How do you guys feel? Emotionally, how do you feel that one of the biggest projects for the biggest project, like animated project that's coming out soon? I mean, there hasn't been anything like this for a very long time. How do you
Yeah.
feel?
Hey, I'm going to jump in real quick, John, and just say I've been to a lot of movie premieres. I'm a Disney animator, so
Mhm.
I had a premiere for Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Pocahontas, all those movies that I worked on in Milan. But this one's different. This one's personal. And so, yeah, you say, how does it feel? One, this is my first time directing, and I got to do it with my best friend, John Schaefer.
Cool.
But also, this is personal. Like those films, that was Disney's thing, and they wanted me to help on it, and we all do a small part in a major process. And I was proud of those films. But this one is the kind of film where you're like, okay, but this could change lives. And
Yeah.
yeah, that becomes, and I want my kids to see this, and I want my friends' families to see this. And so, and the world, honestly, people I will never meet are gonna see this probably for years to come. And so that is very, yeah, makes for a higher level of excitement for sure.
It's
Oh yeah.
pretty cool to think about how you're impacting the kingdom literally across the world. The
Hmm.
entire world, you can impact the kingdom through one film.
Yeah.
Pretty beautiful.
No,
John, how are you
it's
feeling?
uh excited, anxious, scared, all of those. But to kind of give some context, when Matt McPherson, the founder of the Salvation Poem Project, the ministry I work for, is who produced this film. Um, I asked Matt when he funded the film, it was a $20 million budget, and I said, what does failure look like to you? And he said, failure looks like to me is you guys create a beautiful movie that everyone loves, but no ministry will use. And
Mm.
that was a heavy burden. And so a few weeks ago, I went to Istanbul. Over 100 ministries were present and from 70 different countries, and I'm going to present Light of the World. So this is like every ministry in the world that will use this movie after the film has been released and everything. And so I said that opening statement and we showed the movie and I'm watching people from all these different cultures, everything, crying, laughing, gasping.
Yeah.
Everything was just like in sync. And afterwards, one of the key persons spoke and says, you can tell Matt McPherson that you guys created success because every ministry will use this movie. And I literally broke down and I cried because that's what it's all about.
Mm.
But what's exciting for Tom and I and Brennan and McPherson and all that is releasing it in a theater where this is an opportunity that a lot of churches and a lot of people who have friends or family that they may not feel comfortable sharing the gospel, that they can invite them to take them to this movie. Because when you watch the trailer, it's fun. This looks like, as Tom would always say, if Disney in the 90s made a movie about the life of Jesus, this is that movie. And
Yeah.
it's that fun type thing. It's very non-threatening. And I think if you can take, someone who doesn't know the gospel or has some context, but just not there, it's a simple, fun story, but it's a heartfelt story that I think will resonate in their heart because it is it is very emotional and it will speak to their hearts. And so
Mm.
yeah, so my excitement is that I can't wait to unleash this movie, that we get to unleash it, but also this, how will it be received and all that. But from our ministry point of view, I think we made something very, very successful.
So good. When you started saying that, in my mind, I was like, it's only if you're not being obedient to the Lord that it's a failure, right? And
Oh
so
yeah.
just being obedient to the Lord that you are doing what He's called you to do with the
Mm.
talents that He's given you.
It's funny you say that. I got a text last night from Brendan because right now the theaters, the tickets are available right now to buy, and we can monitor things, see how many screens are opening up, And Brennan last night texted me and he just said, no matter what the box office is, we did what God told us to do.
Amen.
Hmm.
And
We're not
and
here to
and
please mere man. We're here to please God. And so
Yeah.
no matter what those numbers say, you know you're doing what he's asking you to do. So
yeah.
so
Well,
thankful you're doing this.
yeah, thank you. And in the while we were making it, I mean, and this is a compliment to John too, is that John always had the Bible open. Whatever sequence we were talking about, he'd be on that chapter and looking at it. Our writers were doing the same thing. We were constantly, while we were writing the script, we were in scripture.
Yes.
And that was our guide throughout. And honestly, it hit me probably kind of early on, we'll say maybe a third of the way in, how important this film is. And for me as a person to say, I better not mess this up. I mean, this is a big, yeah. It hit me how big of a deal that we're telling the story of Jesus through animation, and we have to abridge it. We have to. There's adaptation to this. Any kind of a screen, making something for the screen, tell an epic story in 88 minutes, and we have to cut things out. We have to sort of streamline timelines and things like that. And every one of those little decisions felt like a huge decision because you don't want to mess with the Bible. You don't want to mess this up.
So good.
Yeah.
One of the things I was also thinking about is as people go to the theaters, you know, adults may think, oh, they don't want to go to a Christian movie. I mean,
Hmm.
that's a legitimate thing. They're like, oh, I heard of this Christian movie. I'm really not that interested in going. But
Hmm.
when you say it's a children's movie, what parent doesn't want their child to go to a movie that's going to save them for eternity? And I just think it lends to an even more, a higher level of opportunity for adults to come to the Lord, even through a children's movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly. I'll just say this, like my experience with Superbook. Um, Most of the people overseas, whether it was in the Middle East or whether it was in China and that who had watched Superbook, it was usually the children who got exposed and they led their parents to the Lord or
Yeah.
grandparents.
Yeah.
And that's like a very common story that you hear all internationally. Here, it's usually different. It's sometimes it's the mother, the grandmother, the praying, grandmother and that. But overseas, it's the children that are leading. And no,
Mm.
don't want to give a spoiler alert, but we kind of do that with this movie. You will see a child lead their parent to the Lord. And I mean, it's the perfect way to end this movie. And
Mm.
it's a perfect example to show to children as well. And also to show the dynamic of why the father decided to follow because there's a stubbornness that people might have like, hey, we just got to get through life. We just work hard, we'll get through. But he watches his son. And so, yeah, we did incorporate that into our film.
And we're told to have childlike faith. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why children are able to come to faith so much easier.
Mm.
Good.
I agree.
How has your faith been strengthened by creating this movie?
For me, there was a incident that happened, you know, with our son. So our son was just he had just turned 3 years old and we were playing with him and he was on the ground and he never got back up. We went over to him. We thought he was playing with us. And when we turned him over, he was completely blue. His lips were dark blue. He wasn't breathing. I picked him up. And man, I know what that term means, dead weight, because it just felt like, and we didn't know what to do. We didn't know CPR. My wife literally cried out, name of Jesus. And we ran upstairs. We were calling 911. We were learning how to do CPR over the phone. And we lived further out, so it took about 40 minutes for the ambulance to get there, but he started to come to. And from that point on, we went on this journey going to Mayo Clinic in Rochester, trying to figure out what happened to him. He had a non-responsive seizure, and what they found out is his brain is triggering it to tell his respiratory system to shut down if he goes into this type of seizure. So during that whole time when we were exploring, I would be in the lobby while our son's going through the MRI and I'm doing notes with Tom and reviewing animation stuff, artwork and all that stuff. And and I was everywhere we were traveling. We'd be gone weeks at a time at the hospital, and I remember talking to God, just saying, I really feel like I'm supposed to do this movie. I feel like you called me to do this movie, and I look at my whole life and this path you made for me. But God, you know, I I need you to protect. If I'm supposed to finish this movie, I need you to take care of Josiah, because even the best people in the country don't know what's going on. And I've had private conversations with Tom and others, even Brennan, where, Tom would tell me, John, if you have to step away from this movie, I got it. We got it. We can make this work. You need to take care, and I was always with my son and my family, but Tom would always say that. And there was a point when I felt a peace. It was really weird. I felt this peace that it's going to be okay. And I remember telling Tom, you know, I'm going to continue making this movie because I have to trust Jesus. And if I, or God, and if I don't trust him, how can I make a movie to tell others you can trust him?
Wow.
And to this day, my son has never had another seizure. We don't have to take the rescue shot with us anymore. He's living a normal life. And so for me, it was a new level of trust with God. And if he's put a
Wow.
plan for you, you got to stick to what he's put before you to do.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I'll add to that only that I can't. That's an amazing story, and I can't beat it by any means. But I can say that my yes, I've grown as a believer making this film. It's so hard not to be digging into the Bible and trying to go, what is the meaning of this chapter, or in our case, sequence of the film? What are we trying to communicate? Distill it down, and we would have long discussions. Every single storyboard that we would see by a new artist about, okay, are we being true to that moment? Because these aren't just made up stories to us. This happened. These are real characters, and we fell in love with our John, and we fell in love with the Jesus that we were portraying. And if we're doing that, then that's going to get communicated on the screen. I think you're going to see John and Jesus as friends and see Jesus in a new light, that he's not just this on high kind of a person. He came down as a human. You see him cry in our film. Those things are gonna, those are powerful. They're powerful when I would see the first drawings of them by some of the artists that were doing that, and then seeing it come to life in animation and on the big screen. People are gonna be affected by that. I know that kids are going to walk out of here, even though we did our best to answer as many
Yeah.
questions as we could about what is going on and what Jesus
Yeah.
thought and why he actually came and all of those things. They're going to come out with some really strong questions still. And it's going to be, you know, now they can go back to the source and go back to the Bible and say,
Yeah.
like, my kids are adults. I have four daughters. They're all adults at this point. They've all seen the movie, an early version of it. And they would come to me and say, wait, did that actually happen? Is this part true? Is this? I'm like, yeah, that is. I mean, that actually happened, you know, and because even though they've been growing up in the church, it's very easy to go, wait a second, seeing it visualized, because I did that when I first saw Passion of the Christ by Mel Gibson. I was like, wait a second, that's how that went down. And, and there's some, obviously some visualization and cinematics going on of like how he wants to interpret every sequence, but it's a version of what happened for sure. And how we got to explore, how we got to show those powerful moments, those are life changing. I don't go to church anymore and read the Bible anymore the same way. And I've I've been a believer since I was young.
Yeah. When you read those stories in the Bible now, does your mind go to this is what John looks like? This is what Jesus looks like? Do you
Yes.
have
Oh,
those visuals? I
Yes,
do.
for sure.
I
oh,
I've watched The Chosen. So when I think of John, like I think of him,
The
the
actor.
the
Yeah.
actor.
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
one step
Yeah.
for me weirder than that is like when I'm praying, I see our Jesus in my head. It's just like so like,
Our animated
oh,
Jesus.
our animated Jesus.
But honestly, that's powerful. Kids around the world that don't
Yes.
know this story, this could be the version of Jesus and John and all the disciples that they see in their head
Yes.
when they read the Bible
Yeah.
after this film. And
Especially for visual learners.
yeah,
If you have to visualize something, I mean, it's
mhm.
so wonderful to have a frame of reference now.
Yeah, yeah, it makes it real. And
Hmm.
that's crazy to say that about a cartoon,
But
right? I hate to call it a cartoon, but an animated film.
Yeah.
But honestly, I want to communicate that to the parents that are
yeah,
listening right now.
Yes.
It's no joke. Kids need to have, they're going to see this movie and go, oh, that, because they don't see even Lion King and things like that. That can still be, very changing and affirming.
Hmm.
This is true stories that are being, these are true affirming stories that are going to uplift your kids, but also make them see the Bible in a whole new light in a great way.
and I think it's going to do the same with the adults.
Yeah.
I think when you
Yeah.
watch this movie, it's going to be kind of a fresh take the next time you read the scripture, you know. And
Yeah.
we had Big Daddy Weave and We the Kingdom. They were at one of the screenings, and they spoke like, you know what? It totally the Bible makes more sense to me. Like when John said that when he laid his head on on Jesus' bosom and all that, it says, "Oh, it totally makes sense as a teenager." Because he says, "In my head, I got this 30-year-old laying his head on a 33-year-old," and he says the way they even see the scriptures now, just how we took the story and that direction, they said a lot of it makes more sense. They see it differently.
Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely. There's so many stories that you could have chosen to put into this movie. How did you decide? You said it was 88 minutes long. How did you decide what you're going to put in 88 minutes?
That was a tough one because, like, every one of us, we have a personal story about the life of Jesus that means something to us. And I'll give you an example. You know, a lot of people really wanted the transfiguration moment. They really wanted that in there because of how powerful it is, what it
Yeah.
represented, what God said about his son. This is my son, and all, and that. And so for us, it was like, if we're making this movie for an audience who doesn't have any concept of Jesus or the Bible, then you have to explain who the other people are up there. And our goal is we got to
Mm.
drive the story. So what's the most important beat that we go through John's eyes? Because that's why it's his perspective, it's his story. What are those most important beats that if we have 88 minutes to tell the life of Jesus, what are those most important? And we had to hone it down to certain miracles and all that stuff. And so that was a big challenge, but we
Mhm.
really felt like we've accomplished that and that. But going back and forth on it's there's so many personal things that we wanted to see in there, but it's really about it's
Yeah.
John's story, it's his story arc. We have 88 minutes. This is how we got to tell it. So it was very
We had
challenging.
so many sequences that we storyboarded, fully storyboarded, 5, 10 of them that we had to just cut out because we needed to, and then redo to kind of transition into the next sequences that we knew. But we had some like, poles in the sand that we were following. We're like, we got to have this
Yeah.
sequence. We need this.
Yeah.
So we had that guidance. Now it was just how do we
So
transition from one into the next? And sometimes it would be a sequence that we loved, and we're just like, but that's not moving the story to get further to, and it's maybe not from John's perspective. Maybe he's
yeah.
less involved in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
that was
and
how
that
we
was
would kind of decide.
And that was a scene I fought for because, like in the very beginning, we weren't using walking on water because that's not John's moment. That's a Peter moment.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But I literally, for like almost several months, was like really being a strong advocate of putting that in there because we needed to show the power of Jesus. And I think that one we could show in such an amazing way of walking on water.
It's a very
And,
physical way. Yeah.
and so we did put it in, and it did work how we navigated John to be kind of being in there really on that, front row seat seeing it.
Yeah.
But that was one of those moments that, yeah, I wanted to do something really cool looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so is there going to be a series? What's
You
next
know,
for you guys?
Well, what's next is how strong the box office does on September 5th.
right. Yeah.
You
All right,
know,
we're believing and praying along with you then for strong box office results.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, but
and no joke aside, no joking
yeah,
there. All jokes aside, honestly, the way people turn out and accept this film and go watch it, we tried to make the film that everybody's asking for, right? I mean, as parents and Christians, we've made that faith-based film that you're looking for, that family film that Hollywood's not making, that even
Yes.
that 2D animated film that people I know are desiring and wanting for nostalgia reasons. This is that film. And if you guys don't all go and buy tickets, like even before that goes on sale, like right now,
Yeah.
they're on sale now, be pre the premiere on September 5th. But that weekend, especially opening weekend, is so important. And we hate it too, but we got to play that game. That's the Hollywood game. It's like
Yeah,
they go by it. We don't get a week two or a week three if it doesn't do week one,
that's right.
because that's how Hollywood works and all the theater chains work. We have to play that game. And so we need people to do
And
that
but
part.
but I do truly feel, all of us feel this, that it is a great outreach for
Yeah.
outreach film, you
yeah,
know. And
absolutely.
so
Yeah, lightoftheworld.com open September 5th. So
Mhm.
go right now, buy your tickets. Okay, we got that part covered.
Yep.
Okay, but still, what's next? What's it next in the game plan for you guys?
so for Salvation Poem Project, they actually have a game called Clayfire that they're working on because Brendan McPherson, like I shared earlier, he's the president of TSP, but also he is an avid gamer and he has not seen a good faith-based game, Christian game out there. And so we have a team that's been working on that, and that one I believe comes out like early 2027.
Wow,
And so yeah, so that's going on.
that's
And
amazing. Tell us more about Salvation Poem Project.
so it's a nonprofit organization. We are a media company, so our goal is to create content and eventually distribute it for license for free. So we have like what's an animated thing called New Believers course. So there are 13 episodes. They're like under 3 minutes. So after you accept Christ, these are steps to follow. So we're just creating content that we're licensing free to ministries around the world and that. And so we're just going to continue to create content. We were blessed that our founder, Matt McPherson, he funded our first big initiative, a $20 million film. All of that profits from the box office comes straight back to Salvation Poem Project so we can do more languages for the Light of the World, do other projects and that. So for him, his return of investment of what that money is for us to spread the gospel through the content we create and that stuff. And so that's
Hmm.
very rare that someone will give you that kind of money and they're not expecting to take a return back. And so that's kind of the blessing we have right now.
So good.
Short answer is John and I want to make another movie. So we're pumped and ready to do it. Again, we just need this one to go out there here in the US and make a real difference. And that'll give us the green light to do that.
Yes. Now, you guys said you're best friends. How did you guys become friends? How did you decide to work on this project together?
Well, we
Oh,
go back 18 years, right?
Wow.
yeah.
And
Su-
it was Superbook, the show for CBN that we did together, and John was producing. And short version is he just found me here in Nashville area and realized I was a former Disney animator, and same with my partner Rob. And so we were able to come on and develop that show with him. And then we just stayed in contact over the years. We're big San Diego Comic Con buddies. We're comic book geeks and things.
yeah.
So we would go to geek stuff, and here we are. Got to fast forward and be reunite, but for like the most epic thing we could do.
So good. You guys also have other resources available around the movie. Tell us more about that.
So we have the curriculum that's available on Light. If you go to lightoftheworld.com on the website, go under church resources. There's a 7 week curriculum. It's really cool because I actually went through it and everything. And so that they have that on there. Also, we have a partnership with Tyndale. So on September 2nd, The activity books, the family devotional will be released. And I think that's
Uh,
on pre-order right now. You can pre-order it anywhere, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and all that. We have a huge 500-page family Bible coming out on Easter.
Mm.
And basically that one is in our style of the film, but we did Old Testament, all it's all 500 illustrations in there to be part of the brand expansion of Light of the World. So that's all
wow.
coming out. So, and more stuff's coming up. I know they're gonna open up a merge store. Today we just got these delivered, like our double LP albums, vinyl albums of the Light of the World
Wow.
soundtrack. And so yeah, we got a merge store coming online soon. So yeah, pretty much we got a lot of stuff going on.
So good. And I saw that Shane and Shane has a song, Light of the World.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
music video, so or the music. So the Salvation Poem song, like I said, is a 6-line song, is incorporated it, and then they kind of created a melody around it to go into Light of the World. So it's kind of the original legacy of Salvation Poem, who we are, now tied in with Light of the World. It's a beautiful song, and it's in the end credits.
So good. Lightoftheworld.com opens September 5th. Be sure and buy your tickets today. Like Tom was saying, it's so important to go opening weekend
Hmm.
so that more films can be made. I just can't emphasize that enough because, you know, the tendency is, oh, I'll wait. Don't
Yeah.
wait. Go opening weekend. Just get your tickets, buy some for your friends, your family, and take a bunch of other children, and everybody's going to enjoy this beautiful 2D animated film. Thank you so much for making this film. Thank you for being faithful and obedient to doing what the Lord was asking you to do. And anyone listening right now, let's pray alongside them for the success of this film so that more can be made for all of us
Mm.
to enjoy. Thank you, John and Tom, for joining us today.
Thank you, Alita.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.